Ritualist is a new gear stat that was added with End of Dragons. It can be very good for a lot of classes and elite specializations that can use the Ritualist gear for open world and group content builds. So today, we will learn how to get exotic and ascended Ritualist armor, weapons, and trinkets. We will start with exotic gear first. You can unlock all the recipes with a currency called unusual coins, which you can find in your wallet. There are multiple sources for unusual coins, but the easiest source is from the open world Jade Tech chests and the underwater chests in all End of Dragons maps. Having the Treasure Hunter Jade Bot module will make it very easy to find those chests. I made a guide that explains in detail how Jade Bots work and how to craft their modules. I will leave the link in the comments and description. There is a vendor in Setung province that sells the exotic Ritualist gear recipes, and you can find the vendor right beside the Dago World waypoint. You will see the unusual coin icon on the vendor and on the minimap. When you talk to the vendor, in the second tab, you will find the exotic rituals insignia and the exotic armor recipes for all the weights. Each one will cost 5 unusual coins. Before you can buy any of the armor recipes, you must unlock the rare skin needed for it first. The naming of the recipes and the rare items for them can be a little confusing. So if you are not sure which item is needed for what recipe, I will leave that in a list below in the description and comments. To unlock the rare armor skins, you can buy them from the same vendor in the first tab for 50 silver and some unusual coins. This is something I don't recommend doing unless you have a lot of unusual coins. You will get them as rewards when you play the End of Dragon story. You can find them as random drop from the End of Dragon strike missions coffers, which are the rewards you get when you finish the strike mission successfully. You can get them from the last chest in the End of Dragon's reward track in Valdus' Vault and PvP. You can get them from the open world chests in End of Dragon's maps, and you can buy them directly from the trading post. After you unlock the skin, if you still see the recipe locked and you cannot buy it, just close the window, talk to the vendor again, and you should see it unlocked this time. To craft any Ritualist exotic piece of armor, you must unlock the Ritualist exotic insignia and the recipe needed for that piece of armor. You will also need to be at least level 400 in the crafting discipline needed to craft that piece. Just hover on the recipe and it will show which discipline is needed. I have a guide that explains how to level up any crafting profession from 0 to the maximum level. I will leave the link in the comments and description. Once you unlock the recipe, you will find it in your crafting station permanently. So you only need to unlock the recipes for each piece and for the insignia only once. All the recipes will require research notes for the insignia and for the piece of armor. I just made a guide that explained all the different sources for research, including the best and cheapest ways. You will also find a link for that guide in the comments and description. Ritualist exotic weapons will work in a very similar way. In the third tab, you will find the exotic Ritualist inscription and the exotic weapons recipes. Each one will cost 5 unusual coins. Before you can buy any of the weapon recipes, you must unlock the rare skin needed for them first. The rare weapon skins are easy to get. There are 4 sources for them. You can get them while doing meta events and normal events in End of Dragons maps. They are one of the possible rewards from the End of Dragons strike missions coffers. You can find them in the different Jade Tech chests and underwater chests in all End of Dragons maps, and you can buy them directly from the trading post. To craft any Ritualist exotic weapon, you must unlock the Ritualist exotic inscription and the recipe you need for that weapon. You will also need to be at least level 400 in the crafting discipline needed to craft that weapon. Just hover on the recipe and it will show which discipline is needed. Once you unlock each recipe, you will find the weapon for it in the crafting station permanently. All the exotic Ritualist weapons recipes will require research notes. Please keep in mind that you need to unlock any recipe only once. And when you unlock any of the recipe, when you hover on it again, it will say in red that you have already unlocked this recipe. Exotic Ritualist trinkets are much easier to get. They don't require any previous skins. You will find the recipes for the amulet, rings, and accessories in the last tab. To craft any piece of exotic ritualist trinket, you must unlock the exotic jewel recipe and the recipe for the piece of trinket you want to craft, and you will also need to be at least level 400 in jeweler. The trinkets don't require any research to craft. Now let's learn how to craft ascended ritualist gear. Crafting them is a pretty straightforward process. First, you will need to finish any of the hearts in End of Dragon's maps. The fishing heart in Setung province is an easy one to finish. Just keep fishing until you fill the heart. Keep in mind that you can fish in open water even if you don't see a fishing node around. I have a previous guide that explains how to unlock fishing and skiffs if you want to check it out. The link is in the comments and description. Once you finish the heart, go talk to the vendor and you will find a tab that will have Togo's armor recipe books and weapon recipe books. Each one will cost 100 Imperial Favors and 5 Laurels. Imperial Favor is a currency you find in your wallet. You get it by doing various events in End of Dragon's maps. You get it by consuming any of the map wreaths that you find in your inventory or material storage tab, and consuming each one of those wreaths will give you 5 Imperial Favors. You can also get those wreaths directly by doing various events in End of Dragon's maps, and you can buy them from the heart vendors. But you can only buy 1 wreath from each heart per day. Laurels is another currency you find in your wallet. You mainly get them by simply logging in and collecting your daily login rewards. The armor recipe book will contain the Ascended Insignia recipe and all the armor recipes for all the weights. To craft any piece of Ascended Ritualist armor, you must unlock that insignia recipe and the recipe of the piece of armor you want. And you will also need to be at least level 500 in whatever crafting discipline needed for that piece of armor. To craft any piece of Ascended Ritualist weapon, you will need to unlock the Ascended Inscription recipe and the recipe for the weapon you want. And of course, level 500 in that crafting discipline that is needed. Keep in mind that the Ascended Ritualist Insignia and Inscription will both require the exotic version, so you must unlock that exotic recipe first. If you found this guide helpful, please consider leaving a like. And I will leave a playlist on your screen and in the comments and descriptions for other End of Dragon's guides I made, so you can check them out and maybe you'll find something you need. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in next guide.